we can focus on the suffering heavily or lightly, or barely acknowledge that it's there. Talking about what we mean by self-compassion. And, there's actually lots of definitions out there, stemming back thousands of years. And there's like 8 different definitions of compassion. And, is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it, there's a lot of myths around self-compassion. Is it the same as self-esteem? Is it the same? Is it like self-pity? Does it mean that I'm better than others or worse than others or even the same as others? What does common humanity mean? So there's lots of definitions and approaches. With compassion, there's this sort of prerequisite for suffering. In other words, like compassion is love in the midst of suffering. And so with self-compassion, it's love in the midst of our own suffering. And that could be emotional anguish, it could be suffering around a physical pain, stress, anxiety, depression, craving and addiction, trauma, grief, fear. So there's some level of suffering internally that we're bringing care to. And we can focus on the suffering heavily or lightly, or barely acknowledge that it's there. But there's some element of suffering, and we're just kind of holding that with this tenderness, this gentle awareness, either with a hyper-focused lens, which we can go very deep with and can be very helpful. And sometimes it's just nice to hold it really, 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 really lightly. And just kind of acknowledge that the suffering is there, and, may I be well. May I, find a little bit of ease here, or lightness, or humor, or, just a simple sense of care. And we can titrate between the lightness and the, say, heavy, or the superficial and the deep, without judgment. We're just kind of finding whatever dance move feels appropriate. If we have space to kind of go deeper and, say, examine it or feel it with a lot of focus, zero in on the physical sensations, on sort of the mental associations or beliefs or history, there's a place for that. And we don't always have to do that. A lot of people think that self-compassion equals going to the gym, eating kale, but those things are they can be healthy, and they can be forms of self-compassion, but really what we're getting at is less of the external and more of the internal. Like, how are we relating to ourselves? Is there an actual feeling of care? Because we can go to the gym with a sense of fear that I'm not going to be good enough, or desire to be better than others. We can go to the gym out with this feeling of not really caring for how we actually are. And same thing with healthy eating, or there's all these externals that can seem like self-compassion, but if we're not really tending to ourselves with an actual sense of care, then it's not actually self-compassionate.